Hey, how are you? Hope you're all doing well. I'm gonna do this little video on the topic of happiness and bliss and finding that and staying within that realm of being. And I know because we live in the external world, it is kind of hard to stay in the space of bliss, happiness, and joy, which is our true reality. So, a lot of people think that things outside of us, for one, is what makes us happy. It does at the moment, but then it's only temporary. So after you've achieved that goal or that desire or want, you enjoy it for a little bit, and then it becomes a place of subsiding, where that energy where it was making you happy is no longer making you happy. And so then we go on looking for something else that will make us happy. And so we need to understand that things outside of ourselves don't make us happy. And that was a lesson for me that I had to learn, because everything that I tried to achieve turned up empty, and I did everything that I needed to do as what we've been taught to do. So going into school, getting a career, having everything, having the house, getting married, having kids, everything that we've been taught societally and socially appropriate, right, to obtaining a happy life actually was not happiness, because that was my perception. I was in that reality that that was what we do because that's what we're taught, and that is what's going to make me happy. So I strived and I worked and I suffered through and to meet all those goals, and I obtained them. But upon reaching them, they were empty. And so then I was empty inside, if that makes sense. Everything, because I had given everything to that I was reaching for, that I had nothing left inside and I was empty. Very disappointed. I got into what appears to be in what we call depression, but it's not really depression, it's an emptiness. It's a darkness that we find in ourselves because we give all of ourselves away into something else that we think is going to make us happy when it really doesn't. So, know that we do not receive happiness, true happiness, from the things outside of us, the things that we're doing. It's great to experience it, but we can't put the energy in that and depend on that to make us happy, because the minute something goes wrong, then it doesn't make us happy. The cars break down, the marriage fails, the job, you get fired. It's not about that. The happiness, the true happiness, comes from within. And when you can be within that space, no matter what's happening around you, outside of you, in the external world, then that is true happiness and peace. So understanding that is half the battle. Realizing that is a great accomplishment. And it was a hard lesson to learn, because I grew into a place that was very dark, and it was an awakening for me because it was very traumatic. I had achieved everything that I wanted to achieve, pretty much all within a certain amount of time around each other, and so it was one thing after the other, crashing down, crashing down, crashing down. And so a lot of people can, if they read tarot, they know it as the tarot card. And so it was just one after another, like domino effect. And I couldn't understand that until I decided to release that. And then I had a spiritual awakening. I haven't done a video on my spiritual awakening yet, but I will. And it was an amazing experience that I would like to share. And so keep looking for that. But back to the topic of happiness. Happiness, we want to find it within ourselves and know that the things outside of us don't depend on our happiness. So when we can find the internal happiness, then we will be happy no matter what's going on. And understanding, even in everyday communication with others, we still need to hold our own happiness, because others don't bring us happiness. Our jobs don't bring us happiness. We can't depend on others to bring us happiness. We have to find it within ourselves, within our heart space. And it can be very, it could be a rough road trying to be able to maintain that space of reality. And because sometimes we have emotions and things attached to the people that we're around, the people that we love, the things that we're doing, our jobs, things like that, we have attachments to it. So we have to be able to divide that from ourselves, if that makes sense. Because when we have the attachments to it is when the suffering comes. So understand that no matter what we do in the external world is just what we do in the external world. What we do within is what we do within. They're two separate things, right? So if we can hold steady the happiness within the bliss and work on that, regardless of what is going on, and I kind of talked about that a little bit in my last video about engaging with others, we can divide that, keep it separate. So taking and being in control of our own space, being in control of it and not allowing it to control us, is going to be big in being able to maintain your own space. What is the information that we're taking in? What are we taking in? Other people's judgments, everybody else's thoughts about us, because we really are, and maybe not realize it, that we are taking in other people's information, even if it's not spoken. We're taking in their thoughts, their beliefs, their energy, their emotions, things like that. And you can see that because sometimes, like when you're in a really joyful mood, really happy, blissful, and you're flying on the clouds and, you know, floating around in the sky, and then you go and you engage with somebody, and then all of a sudden you're like in a bad mood, right? So the engagements that we have affect us, and we don't realize that we're taking it in different ways, through what we're seeing, through what we're hearing, through what we're sensing, because we all have different senses that we don't see in the physical. We can feel people's emotions. We could take their thoughts in even though they're not saying anything, and their judgments. And so what if we can keep that separate from how we are? And yes, take in the information, but not the attachments to it. And there was a little video on that. So take a look through those videos and see where you're led to, because one video will lead you to another, right? So just click on them and post any questions that you might have below. If you have any concerns or thoughts or don't understand the videos, please go ahead and post questions, and I will do what I can to help clarify them. And you can also, if you want to have a one-on-one session with me, you can do that as well, so we can kind of work through these and help you to get to a place where you're able to reach your potential and still live in a space of happiness and bliss. So that way, no matter what you're doing, where you're going, nothing can bring you down. Happy journeys.